Competence has run its course within the fanbase. If you thought they'd stick with the same boss tricks and AI for over a decade, and you proceed to piss and moan that bosses in this game break rules that you for some reason align with previous titles, you're a fraud.
I knew it!
We can pinpoint Sekiro for this transition in design philosophy. It's 2016, and amidst the release of Overwatch at its prime, your friend hits you with a game recommendation like none other. Some real difficult game that withholds challenges and struggles which you gotta endure through. The game I'm talking about is Dark Souls 3.
Oh my god. Stop.
You boot it up, and never having played a game in this style before, you die a bit until you arrive outside what looks like a boss's arena. And you see homeboy there. Walking up to the ominous figure, you're prompted to pull the sword from his chest. In doing so, it's got sudden movement, and the next thing you know, it's straight to boxing. And you die. You die a lot. You're struggling to see the appeal. Like, seriously, why would your friend recommend this game to you? This is just agony. With every new attempt though, you begin to see a vision. Every moment of failure has ultimately led you to this epiphany. As you chip away at the boss with a funny name, you think to yourself, I'm getting better. I understand now. Whether you were irritated or bothered at multiple points during that process, you feel a rush, an indescribable feeling that can only best be described as fulfillment. You overcame that process. I say you did that shit, twin. And so from there, you continue on to the journey which lies ahead, keeping that thought of arrogance and pride in your mind. Who's next? By the way, I spent almost a couple hours on Gundyr, but hey, I know I suck. I remember beating Dark Souls 3 for the first time, as it was my first Souls game, feeling both satisfied but empty. Replaying the game was still fun, but the mystery of the challenge wasn't really there anymore. This was somewhat of a universal feeling in the community at the height of the trilogy's finale. Regardless of what somebody's first Souls game was, at the time, we all wondered what was next. Many like myself would go on to experience something new by playing the older games for the first time. Others would move on to play other titles. But one thing was for sure though, we all craved a new challenge, in whatever way, shape or form that would be presented in by FromSoftware's next project, which was a mystery at the time. So now here we are in 2025, and real talk, the fanbase has lost the plot. It's a whole ass identity crisis because it's not the part of the player base that was introduced into the franchise with Elden Ring. Nah, it's the unks of the franchise, which is even crazier work than you think.
Enemies likewise have extremely exaggerated delays on their attacks, and this leaves long windows between hits where you can capitalize on openings if you know hit timings. Theoretically.
Night Rain. Something we have one trailer and a few interviews worth of information for is under fire. We're getting more of what we've enjoyed before, and suddenly y'all not fucking with it? Like, no!
Why you do that? That's my guy!
And do y'all remember when the DLC came out and how many people took to the internet to complain about their shortcomings or to leave a bad review because it was quote unquote too hard?
What?
Like, what does that even mean?
Got a fucking goofster in here. Goofster? Not a goof troop. Goofus and doofus. Goof troop. Fuck he say?
Me when the game does its job? I mean, damn, it's like the company who's held a consistent track record in making a DLC harder than the base game did it again. Insult to injury, it's bad when this guy understands these games more than its own stubborn ass fanbase.
I'm asking your ass, but your ass though, cause you really like say this too hard. Put your big boy pants on and go fight. Like, what are you talking about? Why the fuck would they make a DLC for you to breeze past in a day or two? Make it make sense, my nigga.
But Tom, he's a new gen and hasn't played the Bloodborne DLC yet. The best thing to ever happen to gaming in the industry.
Anyways, I can boil down the majority of complaints to punish windows are too tight, it's never my turn to attack even after a boss throws a wombo combo my way. Or, I get punished for trying to heal and enemy AI input reading me is artificial difficulty and not fair. And the ultimate complaint with the most stocks, bosses do too much damage. Fun fact, there is a direct solution to each of those complaints which I'll get into more in depth later in the video. Except for that last one, I'll just save you the trouble right now and tell you what the effective fix is 10 out of 10 times.
One sweet 19 dodge!
Begin dodge protocol.
It's not that complex!
What? What?
Full transparency on the topic of complaints, I cannot stand when I'm watching a critique video over the game and I gotta witness a bare bone ass comparison to a previous title. You know what? They make sense until the person forgets they're supposed to be critiquing Elden Ring. not glazing an older title.
They give you absolutely no time to heal or even attack for more than one hit at a time. I went back to Dark Souls 3 the other day and was shocked at how many hits I could get in at once.
They're two different games. These type of arguments really can't hold their own without making some goofy comparison.
I've tried playing hyper offensively against her before, and when that works in your favor, it's such a foreign feeling. It takes me back to some of the best hunter fights in Bloodborne.
I still haven't gotten to explaining why and how this game is fundamentally different. These are just not comparable. It's like comparing Goku and Goku Black. They're not the same. And dog, some of these criticisms are so bad. It is to a point where the creator can deadass pinpoint how this game is combatively different, but they straight up refuse to adapt.
That clearly, I'm expected to know AI manipulations or high-level dodging techs.
At this point, it's a blatant confession to just being straight basura.
I'm not talking about people that are able to play this game full-time and perfect everything. I'm a normal guy with a job.
Bro, what the fuck? What did you just say?
I'm a normal guy with a job.
That can't be a real statement, bruh. A part of the unique thrill to Elden Ring's craziest boss attacks is being able to learn how to dodge through it with finesse, if you're willing. As to when that became a bad thing, I don't know. Clearly, competence has run its course within the fanbase. If you thought they'd stick with the same boss tricks and AI for over a decade, and you proceed to piss and moan that bosses in this game quote-unquote break rules that you for some reason align with previous titles, I need you to listen closely. You're a fraud. I knew it! And no, I'm not pulling what I'm saying out of my ass. We can pinpoint Sekiro for this transition in design philosophy.
You need to leave!
Let me explain. Sekiro was the first real shift from the Soulsborne formula, and while I personally label it as one with the franchise because it's fundamentally the same but very much different on a mechanical level, it is still a deviation. While many fans could resonate with it and, keyword, adapt with its mechanical gameplay differences, others couldn't. Aside from the movement tech, the various prosthetic arm upgrades available to you while simultaneously being limited to the use of one katana, and the fact that the player embodies a vocal protagonist as opposed to the standard silent protagonist in these games set in a world parallel to Japan's Sengoku period, an even more drastic change was executed that would redefine the underlying principles to the challenge of boss fights going forward, and that is the flow of combat. With only a katana and a prosthetic arm to utilize accordingly based on your encounters, one does not simply spam the attack button to hit him with the standard mink 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 from previous games. If you've played Sekiro, you already know where that playstyle gonna lead you. With the introduction of a posture system to bring your opponents to a stagger, as that is the only real effective way you can defeat any boss in this game, except for you. For the first time ever in a FromSoft game, the player is forced to experience a boss battle on their turf. There is no hack and slashing your way through this shit, nah.
That don't work.
There's no way out of this.
You're done.
With the tools at hand, the player must abide by the rules set by each boss respectively. How to best utilize the diverse resources the prosthetic arm offers, how to properly time deflecting boss combos, when it's most lucrative to strike back with the good old mink 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 before returning to a defensive position, and most importantly, respecting the standoff.
I am Malenia.
We not there yet. Hold on. With everything I just said, you might be thinking that Sekiro's fundamental premise of combat is to play very passively. And to that, I must say, let me take your hand. Let me tell y'all why this game is peak. It's for the exact opposite reason of staying passive. It's important to be patient when learning the flow of the battle, but when the epiphany of the Maharaga moment strikes, your ability to be competent and play as effectively aggressive as possible will be rewarded. Every window of opportunity to attack when you can will determine if you're a worthy victor of the duel. It's just as my glorious maestro Blocksain Ishin once said. And it seems a lot of the frauds in this community complaining that shit is too hard, well, y'all really missed the point. Back to the main discourse. The slander over this game's approach to difficulty, it's kind of insane. And no, I'm not going to downplay genuine points of criticism that have already been discussed. For example, Malenia's waterfowl being the common denominator in players biting the curb when fighting her, or Promised Consort Radahn having absurd hitboxes which have been fixed since then. And you know it, I know it, everybody knows it. The duel fights in Elden Ring, they're pretty stinky, bruh. You will never be them.
Who the fuck is this nigga?
Get off the team. But I digress. Going back on topic, I'm gonna show y'all how these combat parallels from Sekiro to Elden Ring are prevalent and use a few bosses as examples of that fact. Quick disclaimer, what I have to say is a lot more direct to those who like to run the ones and prefer not using any summons. It's kinda why this design philosophy simply works better in Sekiro, as opposed to Elden Ring where a mimic tier or any kind of summon can butcher the learning curve part of it. The behavior of the AI and the combat pace has changed without a doubt. Understanding and acknowledging the existence of a redefined system to the following is crucial: timing, windows, the neutral, and their indirect relationship with the importance of player positioning. Like I said, and this is primarily relevant to Elden Ring's most challenging bosses, you are on their playing field and you gotta abide by those 4 laws of combat to best optimize your approach. The importance of timing, while relevant to all games prior to Elden Ring, is much more prominent here than ever before. How you time your dodge roll in front of an enemy winding up a delayed attack can literally make or break your experience. Timing then goes hand in hand with what is considered the recovery windows of a boss fight. Gaps deliberately made for you to be advantageous and punish the boss, or to take that opportunity and to heal in order to properly reset. It's important to consider that not all attacks have a long recovery window. Malenia the Fraud Exposer is a testament to that with how fast her recovery and reset windows are. And after I finish defining and displaying these 4 laws of combat pace, I'm going to teach y'all how that is the case through Malenia. If you play fighting games, you probably know these terms, as frame data helps you identify on whether or not you can punish your opponent before they reset to the neutral, where both opponents assume a mutual position of a standoff until one or the other initiates the next move. It's a little game of whose turn is it. This is where y'all might find the most frustration in your experience, as the neutral is possibly the most nuanced aspect of this redefined approach to the relationship between the player and boss AI. It's the part where the AI has been changed to adapt and punish our shortcomings, or as some of you bums will excuse it for, input reading. With those 3 I've mentioned so far, there's the ability to have a semblance of game sense with knowing how you should position yourself in order to optimize all punish windows given to you. How to promptly position yourself where a boss will be after certain attacks in order to take advantage of those windows you otherwise wouldn't be had you rolled away awkwardly, and knowing where you should be by the time the boss returns to a neutral. So with those 4 laws mentioned and described now, emphasized in this game even a step further than in Sekiro, you are punished for hesitating within your windows of opportunity. More than being punished for not taking it, the boss will condition you to remember this. If you thought it was your turn to heal or attack after not having done so during a boss's recovery window, the AI has evolved to take its own advantage within these situations. This time, it was you who made a window for that boss. You took the first step away from the neutral, and that is where you have to respect the arsenal behind particular bosses, because in turn, they can punish you for it. If you refuse to adapt to how this game approaches the principles of combat and keep making goofy ass comparisons of previous titles as an excuse to bash on Elden Ring's philosophy, that's tough. More than a skill issue, that is your lack of competence showing. I already explained what it is. It's right here.
Show it.
It's right here.
Show it.
It's right here.
Show it.
It's right there.
And now, I bring to you the Fraud Exposer.
I am Malenia. You will witness true horror.
I know you see her. I know you felt her. Alright. Let's start by taking a look at her 4-piece swing, where you got the sparks flying at the start and at the end. There are 2 variations to this. We gonna get into the not so punishable one first. Obviously, her startup frame gives you a fair warning that she's gonna start up this particular 4-piece. There is a chance she'll be slightly out of range to where she can't reach you, but most of the time, she will come at you with this from a very close range. If you mistime your dodge roll too early or too late, she will catch you at least once. There's even a chance she'll chain the attack 2 or even 3 times. Lord knows, her chain attacks has some of y'all moving like... As you can see here, I reacted way too late on the second chain. Now, assuming you dodged the attack, congratulations, you timed your dodge roll successfully. However, in this first variation, she will reset to the neutral really fast, leaving no proper recovery window for you to take advantage of. This clip is a clear indication of that truth. It was not my turn to swing, and I knew that. Had I died here, at least I'd be able to acknowledge it was my own greed and not some biased reason to fault the boss. Something you need to remember at all times is if a boss assumes a neutral stance, that means they're fit to counteract your next move or even initiate their own. You're not free to do whatever. With that in mind, you've got to be very cautious about your positioning and keep on your toes to anticipate Malenia's next move. She will always extend her combos with this first variation. There is a chance she will end off with an attack you can either punish or heal due to a longer recovery window. Exhibit A. With this leap into a charged dash, you've got a couple options. You can choose to roll away and dodge successfully and heal, if you need to, or you can roll to where she will be and commit to a punish because you positioned yourself in anticipation. So that is variation 1. Now let's look at the other variation, which is punishable. First things first, time your dodge roll appropriately, nothing's changed here. But this time, as she finishes up her 4th swing, it comes out much more slowly and she's even off balance. That is your indicator for knowing you got the good ending of this attack string. Her recovery window is relatively long here, and if you're able to identify that through basic observational skill, you've got options. I mean, there's a clear difference here. You can take the liberty to heal and properly reset during that window in which she normally wouldn't give you that opportunity, or with that final animation indicating she has ended her string there, you can position yourself to punish her. And that is variation 2. That's all I had to say. Flag on play! There's one more reason as to why I chose to talk about this attack string. Let's take it a couple steps back and think about what Ishin said. Something about Malenia's posture just scratches my brain here. Normally after doing this attack, she posts up and keeps going. But here, nah. I mentioned earlier that she's off balance with a very clear shift in her stance. She's lunged forward and hella off guard as she's caught all of her weight and balance into only one leg. It's kinda like she was hesitant on pressing you like she normally would.
Say that again?
I said Malenia looks like she's hesitant when this happens. Wait a sec. Oh, shit! That's tough. I can't even lie. This is the type of shit I live for, bro. Hey, word for word, bar for bar, Ishin, I see you. Okay, but for real now though, that is all I gotta say for this video. If you've made it up to this point, that's a standing ovation from me to you. Really, I hope some of you negative Nancys feel informed, leaving this little TED talk from yours truly. The 4 laws of combat go crazy. You gotta compose your playstyle to timing, recovery windows, neutral resets, and your positioning. There is one more thing that I should have covered, but I really can't because I gotta lock into my final college semester, and I didn't want to spend more time editing this video, but I call them 50-50s. You ever felt like a boss in Elden Ring pull combo extensions out of their ass, especially in Shadow of the Erdtree? You ever played a fighting game before with a 50-50 mechanic? Yep. Bosses in the DLC function heavily on that 50-50 design philosophy, which is more oriented around your positioning while a boss initiates a combo. I'll definitely have a video for the future lined up talking about the 4 laws of combat more specifically, and dissecting the 50-50 game mechanic I just brought up, because I think it's really overlooked and nobody really understands it. I don't know if anyone's ever even talked about it. And if you like the video, subscribe please, hit the like button, share the video if you're willing. Any interaction helps me find my place within the algorithm much more quickly because I am new to this. I'll say it again, I really appreciate you for watching this video, and yeah, till next time, take it easy. I also upload weekly shorts, so if you're into that, subscribe, Crow.
Hey,